All right, good evening. The January 12th, 2023 special board meeting is being recorded. Anyone wishing to observe the meeting may do so via AVUHSD's YouTube channel. Individuals may take photographs or record meetings, provided the individual's conduct does not constitute a disruption, including obstructing the view of others. During special board meetings, members of the public may only address items on the agenda. Those wishing to address items on the agenda shall do so in person, complete a speaker form, and give it to the designee before the public comment portions of the meeting. The speaker form must be given to Ms. Orozco before the board president announces the item. Once the item has been called, we will no longer accept new cards. Ms. Orozco will call the individual's name to come up to the podium to provide their comments. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. A total time for public input on each item shall be limited to 20 minutes. Only one person is permitted to stand at the podium at a time. No speakers may relinquish a time allotted to another speaker. The district encourages members of the public to attend board meetings and to address the board concerning any items on the agenda or within the board's jurisdiction. The board does not prohibit public criticism of its policies, procedures, or programs, services, acts, or omissions. Similarly, the board does not prohibit public criticism of district employees. Speakers are cautioned that no person is immune from liability for making intentional, false, or defamatory comments simply because those comments are made at a public hearing or public meeting. Attendees are also reminded of the board's civility policy, Board Policy 1313. This civility policy requires that members of the district staff will treat parents and other members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. The district is committed to maintaining disruption-free board meetings. The board will not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of its board meetings. Persistent disruption by any individual, group, or grounds to terminate the privilege of addressing the board. Persistent disruption by an individual shall be grounds for the board president to terminate the individual's privileges to address the board. The district promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among district board members, district employees, parents, and the public. The district seeks public cooperation with this endeavor. Roll call. Ms. Corona.
Present.
Ms. McGrady.
Present.
Mr. Sanchez.
Here.
Mrs. Nguyen. And Charles Hughes as present. I am here as well. I do not see Mr. Delgado. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Miguel, can you lead us? Or Mr. Sanchez, can you lead us?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. All right. Are there any comments from the public on agendized items?
Yes, we have one comment. Steve Hill. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. 1 second. The public is invited to address the board on any agenda item. To address an item on the agenda, speakers forum must be given to the designee before the board president announces this item. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and a total time for public input on each item shall be limited to 20 minutes. Only one person is permitted to stand at the podium at a time. No speaker may relinquish a time allotted to another speaker. During public comment, the board listens to concerns or issues. The board may ask questions for a purpose of clarification. The law prohibits the board from entering into a dialogue with the public or taking action on an item not on the agenda.
Steve
Mr.
Hill,
please.
1F.
Good evening, Mr. Hill. Good, sir. Yes, sir.
Next week.
All right. And just for the record, when we have a special meeting, it's only agendized items only. When a regular meeting, you can speak on pretty much what you want. All right, thank you, sir. E, presentations. Mr. Nehan.
So appreciate you all being here this evening. We did send out the RFP, and we have 4 firms presenting this night. Included in the RFP was a presentation of not more than 20 minutes. So if you have a presentation to load, Mr. Allen can help you. And first up, we have AALRR.
Is that better?
Yes, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board, members of cabinet. We appreciate being here with you today. My name is Jabari Willis. I'm a partner with Atkinson Andelson, Lawyer Root and Romo. I'm going to let my partners and colleagues introduce themselves as well.
Good evening. My name is Gabby Ortiz. I'm also a partner with Atkinson, Andelson, Loyal, Root, and Romo. It's always fun, right? The mouthful of all the names. I've been with the firm for 8 years, and I specialize in doing special education, Section 504, ADA, and those areas.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all and be here tonight. My name is Paul McLaughlin. I'm a partner with Atkinson Andelson, Lawyer Root and Romo. I am working primarily out of our Pasadena office. My focus is primarily human resources related and general counsel matters. I've been with the firm for nearly my entire career. I've been an attorney for about 14 years.
Background on myself, I have been with the firm my entire career as well, going on almost 17 years. I practice general counsel work, personnel collective bargaining, as well as special education. Just a little bit about the firm. The firm has been providing legal services as it relates to education law for over 40 years. We have over 230 attorneys, with over 130 attorneys doing some sort of education law related work. We represent some other districts in this same area, and so we are familiar with the area. Those include Eastside Union as well as AV Community College District. We are a full service firm, but we have expertise in the area of education law in all areas. That would include personnel, as we've talked about, HR, facilities, special education, charter work, collective bargaining, board governance. We also deal with adult ed, alternative ed matters. We have a client-focused approach. Because of this expertise, it provides value to the district. We have dealt with most issues. Obviously, there are always new, unique, and complex issues, but from day-to-day work, we have seen most issues. We are budget conscious, and we are available. We do our best to make sure there is some sort of contact and response within 24 hours of any inquiry from our clients. Usually, it is much quicker than that. So wanted to be very straightforward with you all today, and I know hopefully there are some questions that we can answer.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Is there any questions? I'll start with Ms. McGrady.
I tried to really go over this. I just got it yesterday.
Okay, I
but
go over here to Ms. Wynn. She said she's going to take some time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you asked me.
Oh, I did, but I
Oh.
thought you needed some time, so I was going to jump over to
Oh,
Ms.
go
Wynn.
go
and
ahead.
see.
That's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Are you ready? Are we good?
Then it's fine. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Ms. Nguyen, do you have anything?
Personally, or the firm? The firm has been working with school districts over 40 years. So the firm actually did some work for the district around 10, 15 years ago in the facilities arena. We haven't done any work for you more recently. And we've worked with some of the districts in the area for over 10, 15 years, and we currently do work for them as well. Or maybe they referred to it as the acronym AALRR. Makes it a little easier to say than all of the last names there.
Ms. Nguyen, if I could ask you to turn on your microphone.
And also, have you ever worked with California School Board Association?
We present annually at the School Board Association Annual Conference, as well
Okay.
as the mid-year. So I'm sure you've seen us present there.
Let's see, because like I said, you did answer, some of my questions were your expertise in charter schools, special education, labor negotiations, and general counsel. Actually, I think you've answered all my questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ms. McGrady?
Yes, what I started to say was just simply, I received the information. I tried to look through it yesterday and this morning extensively, so I spent quite a bit of time, and it looks like you're very well qualified. I also tried to reach out to folks with CSBA, and they're well aware of your name, and you're well respected. So I just wanted you to know that. And it seems to me that you presented to us about 3 or 4 years ago. Is that? Okay, I thought that I recognized your name and I recognized you, but I thought that was correct. So, okay, well, thank you, and thanks for presenting tonight.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for coming. And I actually am going to ask the same question for everyone. Why? Why do you feel you want to be a part of our AV Union High School District? What makes the connection special for this firm to work with us?
I can say is I know you have a very diverse student population as well as a diverse staff. Our firm has been recognized for many, many years as being one of the most diverse firms in the nation for its size. So we love the idea, quite frankly, of supporting a school district that has that type of diversity. I know this school district has a ton of potential. There is room to grow, and so we hope to be able to advise and assist in that growth.
Thank you.
Well, your presentation was really good. Well, all my questions were answered. So, thank you.
Just real quick, I believe we actually have an active contract with you. I think I reviewed, but I don't think we've ever used you in the recent history.
Again, it's my understanding, we did some facilities work for you quite some time ago, but not in recent history.
Yeah, very impressed with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any other, Mr. Nehan, do you have any questions or any staff? No? All right. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Next up, we have Fagan, Friedman, and Fullfrost.
A little packet is coming through. It does not duplicate our proposal, but it has just a few references that we provide to clients that you might find useful. My name is Peter Fagan, the founder of Fagan, Friedman, Full Frost, and I'm very happy and thankful to be here. I'm going to let the rest of our team introduce themselves as well as a little bit about themselves and their practice areas, and then I'll come back.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Lee Rideout, and I've been practicing special ed for over 20 years now. I've been doing the district special ed work for the past 3 years, and I've worked in-house in DC schools, in-house counsel for Atlanta schools, so I have extensive in-house experience as well as working with large urban districts, and that's about me.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hi, I'm Sarah Polito. I'm also a partner with Fagan, Friedman, and Full Frost, and I am in the business facilities and real estate practice group. So my specialties are a number of things, really, from real estate transactions to procurement and public bidding, number of other things like developer fees. Really, we do a wide number of things that any district could need with regard to facilities and procurement. We have also done a lot of work with project labor agreements. So I wanted to bring that up as well. And community workforce agreements is the other way that you may have heard them referred. We're excited to be here tonight. We've done a lot of work with the district, and we look forward to continuing.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy and excited to be here at the new district office. And so I got a chance to take a little mini tour before we got started. It is beautiful. And my name is Carlos Villegas. And I've been working with the district throughout my entire career. I am a labor and employment partner, and I'm mainly based in the Los Angeles office, but I also am the primary counsel for several school districts in the area. I come from a family of educators. So mom was a teacher of the year in San Diego Unified. My aunts and uncles are principals. My dad was a superintendent. So I kind of learned the dynamic of how a school district is run really at the dinner table. And so it's just a pleasure to be back, and I look forward to telling you all a lot more about our firm and our practice.
Thank you.
I don't have the same background as Carlos. I was not raised in an education family. I'm a farm boy from Iowa. Grew up on a farm. I went to the University of Iowa Law School and got recruited to come to California and have been out here ever since. I kind of fell into education law rather than knowing about it and growing up, and fell into a practice area that I love. And I've been working in this area since 1992. Actually started working with this district in 1997 when Bob Girolamo was the superintendent, and I think the district was just coming out of a bankruptcy. And I was doing the collective bargaining and governance and basically all kinds of work for the district at that time. Over the years, my role has transitioned. Particularly, I've focused on governance, and I've met with, I believe, every board that has served this district since 1997 on governance-related issues, and have always had a soft spot for this district because when I first moved to Southern California in 1997, Antelope Valley Union High School District was one of the first 3 clients that I ever worked with in this area. So a little bit about the firm. Our firm was started in 2006. We've all practiced in education law with other firms, but this firm was started in 2006 with an idea of doing education law differently. We started with a mission statement, which was help our clients accomplish their mission. It's not about us, it's about you. And that has been the way we have practiced throughout the entire history of the firm, including here. And I just want to say that our role in the district has varied over the years. It has always been directed by the board as it acts through its majority. And there are some years where we've done lots and we've done practically everything. There are other years where the district had a general counsel and the district had contracts with multiple firms, like most school districts do. And we have done whatever was requested at that time. So we have tried to play that role throughout the entire history. And some of the things that I presented in the packet that I sent around, I see Board Member Sanchez looking at one of them right now. It's a one-page desktop reference, and we probably have 50 of these that we have put together that they're issues that come up across the state that are common to our clients, which are all school districts, by the way. We're not a public agency firm. We are an education law firm, and that's what we do. Our representation is between 400 and 500 school districts. And we put together these one-page desktop references for board members and staff when we see a common issue that we're getting lots of calls about. And it's something that people can look at without having to call their attorney every time they need something. So with that, I think, well, I guess I should point out some points of difference that I think it's always worth pointing out points of difference. One is obviously the history with the district. I think there's some positives to that in that we've worked here for now well over 2 decades. I have personally, and have longstanding relationships throughout the community and in the district. And I think that is helpful because sometimes issues arise that have roots somewhere else that we may be familiar with. As Lee said, she's been doing special ed now for 3 years here. One of the points of difference for our firm, all of the ed laws firms do special ed. I don't think anybody does special ed like we do. We have the largest special education practice group in the country, and we're known for our special education trainings. Special ed directors from the entire Pacific West and Northwest, as well as California, attend our special education symposium. We're also the very first education law firm to start an education technology practice group. And as a result of that, we are now known not just statewide, but nationally. We're general counsel for SITE, which is the IT officers in education. One of our partners actually wrote the book, Data Privacy Guidebook. And so education technology is a point of difference. Special ed is a point of difference. History with the district is a point of difference. And I don't want to steal your thunder, Board Member Corona, but if the question is why, I think I've already answered that. This was the first client that I worked with in 1997 when I moved to Southern California to practice education law. And it's been a consistent client throughout. While there have been ebbs and flows, obviously, in the type of work and the style of work and who we've worked with, it has always been at the direction of the board as it acts through its majority. And so with that, I don't have anything else to say, but Carlos, and one other point of difference, big one, crisis communications. Our communications director is Terilyn Finders. She's known throughout the state as a top crisis communications person. Actually, some of our competitor firms actually refer their clients to us when there's a gun on campus or there's been an untimely death or some type of crisis at a school district. And so that is a huge point of difference for us as well. And then I'm going to let my partners kind of clean up anything that I may have left out. There you go, Carlos.
Thank you,
Thank
Peter.
you. Very good presentation. Thank you.
I wanted to add that responsiveness is critical. And so as a first-year attorney, one of the things that my dad really counseled me on is he didn't want to wait as a superintendent. He didn't want to wait to find out, what his attorney thought about a particular issue, especially if that issue was simple. And he wanted some kind of communication. So what we've done is we've kind of made it our mission to be available to school district administrators, available to the board. And we do that through text messages and other means. But this idea that we can hear from us, we can acknowledge what it is that you need, and it might be something we can handle quickly, but you're never going to be sitting waiting to see where is legal and how they can help us. Another piece of difference between us and other law firms is our next level client services. So we've understand that a lot of the issues facing school districts are not necessarily legal. And so we have a branch of our firm that really is composed of former administrators who are really superior in their field. And so they can help counsel a human resources. They can come in as former superintendents to give guidance. And I think that's a huge resource for any school district that doesn't necessarily involve your legal counsel. The other thing I want to mention here is our strategic partnerships. So we do partner with California School Boards Association, but we also partner with the Association of School District Administrators, and we are a critical partner for them in trainings throughout the state. And through that kind of partnership, we're able to tackle cutting edge issues, legal issues as soon as they come out. And we've really been at the forefront of those issues in California. I'm looking for a few questions from the board. So I'm going to open up unless my partners have something here.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. I'll start with you, Ms. McGrady, if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, and again, I tried to spend some time. I am aware of what you have done. Mr. Fagan, I've attended your governance sessions for years, and congratulations, those are excellent. I also saw you present many times at CSBA functions and rallies, so we know that you are capable and appreciate the work that you've done for us, and I thank you very much. I'm sorry that I don't have any real questions. I think that you pretty well laid it all out, and I feel like we know you. So thank you, and thank you for your service. Thank you.
Ms. Nguyen.
First of all, I do want to mention the fact that I've talked to quite a few people to get input from staff, our labor unions, and other educators in the state of California. So I do know that you've worked with many school districts in the state. I would like to know how many districts in our local Antelope Valley have you worked with or do you work with?
I can add that for 10 years or so, I represented the Palmdale School District during their special ed and student services, and also work with Lancaster, previously with Acton, Agua Dulce. So I have a lot of experience here working in the Valley.
It's my understanding you also work with Antelope Valley School Transportation
Yes.
Yes, we also.
Association.
AVUHSD and as well as Wilsona. Basically, I think all but one district in the Antelope Valley we have worked with, and most of them we continue to work with.
Thank you. My question of how long have you worked with the Antelope Valley Union High School District? For the past 20 years, in my off and on position with the board, I've worked with Fagan Friedman Full Frost, and I've appreciated that relationship. So there's no use in asking that question. I did have someone who wanted to know if you worked with California School Boards Association.
Yeah, as Carlos mentioned, we've worked with CSBA ever since the firm was founded. And let me clear one thing up. I've worked with the district since 1997, but the firm started in 2006. Obviously, I was with another firm at that time, but I was the point of contact with this district throughout that time with that firm. And then when we started this firm, the district continued to work with us. As far as CSBA, we're at every CSBA conference. We speak at the conferences, we're on panels, and we're on panels many times with other firms as well, at least what they call the big four education law firms. And another thing is that, and there may be other firms that do this, but I know in our local areas, CSBA asks us to do new board member orientations. So it is our firm that is meeting with the new board members in an entire county, providing them an update on the roles, responsibilities, the Brown Act, the Public Records Act, and that type of thing. So in addition to their big conference, and as well as some of the work that they do throughout the year, we also work with them in the local areas. One other thing that I should mention is I serve on the Education Legal Advisory Group for CSBA. There are a group of attorneys, and I'm one of them from around the state that advise CSBA on big issues and big cases as to whether or not they want to get involved or should get involved with filing of amicus briefs or friends of the court briefs on appellate courts or California Supreme Court or even US Supreme Court cases. So we work very closely with CSBA.
I was also impressed with the list of other educational organizations that you've worked with. It's quite extensive. Thank you for providing that. And through my research, I found that I've been told that you have the premier attorneys who work with charter schools and specifically special education issues.
Unfortunately, Leslie Locker is not here. Leslie is head of our charter group. She has worked closely with Greg over the years on all of your charter issues. She unfortunately has a daughter who has a very serious medical issue, and so she's unable to be with us. We had hoped that she would be, but she is known throughout the state as one of, if not the top charter school partners. And she has been the one that has worked with you on many, many charter school issues. And
I was
I mentioned special ed already.
Oh, I was told that Mr. Fullfrost is,
Mr. Fullfrost is one of the well-known special education lawyers. Okay.
and I think that answers all my questions. Thank you.
Ms. Corona?
Hello. I have a couple of questions, but I do want to still ask the why. Mr. Fagan, you answered that, and it sounds like it's a personal connection, and that sounds very, that's an authentic, personal connection. So maybe one of your partners can ask, why do you want to work with us, and what is special about a connection with AVUHSD?
Well, I have a little bit of a sentimental connection as a first-year attorney working with the district, and it's really some of my first experiences were here in Antelope Valley. So just me personally, it's important to me. And just to give you some background, I drove 3 hours to be here tonight because of that relationship and because it's that important to just me personally. The other piece I want to, and kind of give you a little background, what I was doing earlier today was working on collective bargaining issues. So
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Sure.
The air, I can't hear you as well.
No problem. So I'm gonna
Oh,
lean,
thank you.
into it here.
Lean in.
So I drove here from another district on the other side of LA County where I was working on collective bargaining issues. And so I think it's critical that you have attorneys that understand how to collaborate with the stakeholders within your district. You don't bring in a law firm in a school district to kind of take an adversarial position with your community, with your staff, with your administrators. You need a firm that knows your community, that reflects your community, and that also understands how to build those relationships. So that's kind of the ethos that we have as a law firm, and that's really how we approach our problems. So in terms of kind of what's the why, we feel like we are responsive. We're the firm that really is composed of almost all our attorneys have a former background in education. So I come from an education family, but I used to be a teacher. I was a classified employee. I was a volunteer, and I was a school site council president. So we are invested in public education. This is what we do. This is who we are. And I think that's reflected in our attorneys, in our entire staff.
Thank you. And then, so being that you've been, Mr. Fagan, since 1997, but that's 25 years. My math isn't always correct, but about 25 years with us. And I want to ask, how do you navigate and shift with the change of times 25 years later, so you're not feeling you're becoming complacent or complicit with, longevity
Certainly.
isn't always a positive. So talk
Yes.
to us why on that.
Thank you for that question. As I said earlier, we have worked with multiple boards in this district. And in the line of work that we do with between 450 or so school districts, there's constant change. Every 2 years, there's an election. There's new board members seated. Boards change, the majorities flip. And yet, ever since the time of we've started this firm, we have had to adapt. You have to adapt in this practice. We have a Bay Area office, represents San Francisco Unified. We have an Inland Empire office that represents some very conservative areas, but we're one firm, and we have to adapt and take direction and work with the board as it speaks through its majority. And one of the things that I think is, while I think longevity has some positives, I certainly understand where you're coming from. If longevity leads to lethargy and mediocrity, I would say, kick us out. I don't think that's what has happened here. We are just as committed to the future success of this district as we were on day one when I walked in back in 1997. And we are just as committed to working with you as a board and your administrative team in the years to come. So I would just say that change is a constant in our practice. And we would not have grown to the point where we are if we sat back and just we're happy with what we've done. And I think Carlos mentioned, and some of the points of difference that I mentioned, we've been on the cutting edge of education and education issues since we started the firm, and we plan to continue to be and plan to continue to serve our clients that way.
Well, just to add something to that. I just wanted to note that, you know, when you work with F3, you're not just getting the four of us here, you're getting over 100 attorneys, right, that have worked on various issues. Some have worked, you know, with the district for this district for a very long time. Some maybe haven't. And so they can bring a new, you know, new skill set, or they can bring a new perspective, right, to things that may have been looked at a certain way. And so I just wanted to emphasize there are so many of us with so many areas of expertise that there's that, it really is the best of both worlds, and that you have the longevity, you have the experience, you have the folks that have been there for a while and can bring that, but you also have a lot of new blood and new interest and new ideas that really kind of, you know, brings the best of both worlds.
And then one final question. So in your packet, you have a F3 law presents speaking of free speech in a changing society, and this is no cost resource for educators. So my question is, how is this being utilized in our district right now?
I don't believe it is being utilized in your district right now. It's a brand new resource. It's something that
Brand new means
meaning
what?
it was just produced and it was announced at the CSBA conference.
Okay.
It is a video course that we came up with in conjunction with WASC, the Western Accreditation Agency. What we saw, and this is an example of kind of being on the cutting edge, we saw that there was really a need for civics instruction. And so we reached out to a partner organization, WASC, and said, we'd like to put together a curriculum on the First Amendment, because we think that that was something that high school students in particular could benefit from. And there are 6 video lessons that are ready to use right now by any high school government teacher or social studies teacher. And they're done with lawyers and judges, retired judges, and a group of professional student actors. It is a significant production. And we announced it, we released it at CSBA annual conference in December. And WASC is now pushing it out through the entire Western United States with through all of the districts that they are the accrediting agency for. So it's brand new. And so I believe I probably sent an email to Greg in December with a link to the video that introduced it, but it's very new. So that's why it's in the packet, is because it's a brand new resource. And it's an example, it's just the latest example of, given our focus as an education law firm, not a public agency law firm, but an education law firm, we're constantly looking for things that will help our clients. And this is something that we thought would. And so we checked with a bunch of clients and said, is this a resource that you think would be useful? Overwhelmingly, it was yes. So we put it together and released it. And again, it's a no-cost resource. We funded it because we think it's something that's important.
Great. And then Greg, I would love to hear the plan of how to implement that at a future date.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Those were my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sanchez.
Very informative. Thank you for the presentation, but I got no questions. I'm always the last one, so. All my questions are answered by everybody, so. But thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative and very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Lozano Smith.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Trevin Sims. I'm a partner in the Los Angeles office of Lozano Smith. I'm joined by my colleagues, Eleanor Welke, Darren Kamea, Mark Wallerman, also partners in our Los Angeles office. They will introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their practice in a moment. I'm going to start first thanking you for the opportunity to be here tonight. It's always interesting when we come to these and I get the opportunity to hear my esteemed colleagues, many of whom I know well, I've worked with in the past. And so I think you guys are in a good place. You have an opportunity to choose from a lot of good lawyers. And so I want to talk a little bit about my firm, our team, and I think get to one of the central questions here tonight, which is why us versus who you have a long history with or one of the other firms. And so Lozano Smith, our firm was founded in 1988 by what was then county councils, because at that time you didn't have private law firms that represented school districts. You were all represented by county council. And then it changed, and many of the county councils then formed firms. And ours is one of the first firms formed to provide private legal services to educational agencies. And that's been our central focus since that time. We also do represent other public agencies, but probably 80 to 90% of our work is still representing school districts, county offices, and educational agencies. And that's our primary focus. Our firm probably represents over 500 school districts of the 1,000 school districts in the state. And our firm mission statement is partnering for excellence in education and government. And we spent a lot of time thinking about that and what our mission was and what that statement meant. And for us, that means you have mission statements. You have a mission and directive as a school district to provide excellence in teaching and learning for your students. And so we really do truly see ourselves as partners in doing that, helping you overcome the challenges that are presented in that, but also take advantage of the opportunities that are presented there. Our firm is organized into practice groups. And like the other firms you've heard from, we're a full service law firm. We do everything you need, except maybe taxes and criminal law, but we have references for that. Yes, my advice is you stay away from that. And we have been, in my view, the premier law firm in providing services to education lawyers, education agencies in that time. I know some of my friends will disagree. But I think what distinguishes us is kind of our approach and how we're structured. First, like I said, we primarily represent educational agencies, but we also represent cities, municipalities, state agencies. And I think it gives us an insight into relationships, the ability to have intergovernment communications and relationships and communications that you don't get with other firms. Another thing is our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a diverse community. I've worked in this community with other agencies for probably 2 decades. And so I'm familiar with this community. I live in the Santa Clarita Valley, and I understand, and we understand the importance of sort of reflecting the communities we work with and serve, and that our clients work with and serve. I'm a member of our firm's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, which is led by senior partners in the firm. And we think about these things in terms of being, really cognizant of as we're working with our clients, thinking about those issues, thinking about equity issues in terms of our legal advice as well. The other thing I think that distinguishes us is our approach to how we deal with our clients. Many firms, individual lawyers are like, that's my client. You don't talk to them, you don't work with them. From our perspective, all clients are firm clients. Now, sometimes our clients think, well, this person's our lawyer, and we're fine with you thinking that. But from our perspective, you're a firm client, which means we provide the individual, the team, the expertise, the time that's necessary to meet your needs instead of sort of hoarding a relationship. The other thing is, and one of my colleagues talked about it, is availability. All my clients have my cell phone number. I say it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week number because your issues don't come up Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? Something can happen on a Saturday, a Sunday, that we need to be prepared to deal with it on Monday morning. So if I get that call or I get that text, we're going to be available. As for me, I have represented school districts since 1996. And I have served as general counsel for school districts. I've served as special counsel. I've served as board counsel for districts throughout the state. And I like to say I've done everything except layoffs and labor negotiations. And I will never do those because we have people who love that and are experts in that. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleagues to do a little intro on themselves, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Eleanor Welke, and I am a partner in our Los Angeles office. This is my 14th year of practice. I'm actually from the Central Valley, but I went to UCLA and stayed down here ever since. After I graduated from UCLA, I was a teacher at Linwood High School in Los Angeles, special education teacher. I taught as a resource specialist, but also had English and history students that I pulled out on a daily basis. I always wanted to go to law school. And I too am a daughter of an educator and a county council who represented school districts. And my mom was on the negotiation team for the union. And so I grew up just in that world, always wanted to go to law school, wanted to get into educational policy. After I finished teaching, I started working in the legal field, went to law school at night, graduated in the middle of the recession, had a great job as a litigator. Not at all the path I thought I wanted to take, but I spent about 8 years practicing as a litigator at a big national firm, doing labor and employment litigation and a little bit of business litigation. About 5 years ago, I got the wonderful opportunity to come work and live my dream of representing school districts at Lozano Smith, and truly is such a wonderful place to work. Really, as I say, feels like I'm practicing law in a village with all of them every day. My practice now, I still do a little bit of that litigation. They haven't let me give it up completely, but about 70% of what I do is day-to-day advice and counsel on labor and employment, governance issues, and that runs the gamut. ADA accommodations, complaint investigations, which there's been a lot of these days, overseeing outside investigators, dealing with everything that a superintendent might deal with on the HR, in the HR world on a daily basis. I think what I love the most, and really kind of one of my whys that I take with me in my practice when I did Teach for America before I started working for Linwood High School. And when I went there for my first interview, they had written in crayon across the wall, one day all children will have the opportunity to gain an excellent education. And that's really what I take with me every day. I love being a part of the administrative team. And that's what I really love about the advice and counsel side of my job, is just getting to help with the day-to-day issues that arise in education and in HR and in governance. And just wonderful to work with these guys, wonderful to be here today with you, and I hope to get to work with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Am I close enough to the mic? Okay, thank you. Good evening. It's a pleasure to have an opportunity to talk to you for a few minutes. My name is Mark Waterman. I'm one of the partners in the Los Angeles office, and I have been practicing law for 28 years. My practice focuses on litigation and appellate work at the state and the federal court systems, as well as administrative hearings. And the administrative hearings really range from hearings in front of PERM to dismissal and employee discipline hearings to also special education hearings. One of the things that I think sets our firm apart when you look at sort of my practice area is our LA office has a group and a team of very senior litigators. We have Mark Kitabayashi, our office managing partner, who has been practicing for decades and is the head of our litigation practice group. We have Fabiola Rivera, who also is a litigator in our office, and she is the co-chair, along with me, of our administrative hearing practice group. And we all bring different experience and work that we've done over the years to the table. One of the other things that I think separates us a little bit from some of our colleagues is in the area of special education, which I practice. I spent 3 years as an administrative law judge pro tem for the special education division of the Office of Administrative Hearings doing mediations. And there, I really was able to focus in on how to utilize alternative dispute resolution to help parties reach an agreement. And that's something that is very important when you're looking at litigation or other areas where you may have a hearing that could be very costly to the district. So what we always do is come in and begin by talking to the district, finding out what your interests are, what your goals are, and then we ascertain whether or not there is a way for us to meet those goals in a way that gives you finality and meets your interests without oftentimes having to go through the process of incurring the additional fees and costs to have to go through hearings or litigation. If it's necessary, obviously, we're there and we have a lot of experience, but it's our process to try to see what is the most efficient and most cost-effective way to meet your goals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members, cabinet members, and esteemed colleagues. It's nice to see everyone in person, as well as our friends who we've seen on various panels that we've been on at CSBA and AXA and various conferences as well. My name is Darren Kamea. I am a partner with the Los Angeles office of Lozano Smith. I've been in practice for nearly 25 years. Soon after I started legal practice, I made it a point to look for a firm that practiced education law because I felt like it was something I had passion about in terms of helping to develop educational policy and practices that would further public education, which I'm a product of. And so I did that. I've been practicing education law ever since. I represent K through 12 and community college districts in various matters, ranging from governance to labor and employment. In terms of the employment matters, I work with districts on day-to-day employee issues, hiring, discipline, performance management, leaves of absence, the garden variety of matters, as well as labor relations in terms of contract interpretation, contract management, grievances, adjudication through arbitration, and also labor negotiations, which is something that I think is a plus if you have an attorney at the table and you have a need for an outsider to come and help either present a third party's point of view in terms of advocating for you or to help to bring the parties together. And I'm trained as a mediator, as is Mr. Waterman. And so we have special expertise in terms of bringing parties together and getting a durable agreement that everyone is satisfied with, or at least as satisfied as they can be, because everyone has to make compromises. I work with elementary school districts in the Antelope Valley. I work with high school districts in other parts of the state. I would be most pleased to work with this high school district. The matters that you folks deal with are things that we specialize in every day. I come from a family of educators, as most of us, I think, do. My mother, my brothers, everyone else in my family has some connection to education. And we feel that we are really one of the firms that you should consider for legal services because we have a passion for what we do. And that's one of the things that we look for when we hire attorneys to join our firm. So we do have that we bring to the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we are happy to address any questions you have.
Standing. Ms. McGrady.
Okay, thank you. Well, first, again, thank you for your excellent packet. And I just want to say before we get started, I received from you, because I've been on the board for a long time, but I received those messages that you send out. Actually, I get them from F3 as well, but of what's happening in education and what the latest things are. I love that. Thank you so much. I'm sure other board members enjoy those, and whatever happens, I know our new board members will enjoy getting those, but I thank you for those. I was trying to look back just now. I spent quite a bit of time on this, but I can't find what I know you worked for us or have worked here recently for us, but I don't remember what it was. Was it land about land situations, or I'm trying to remember what you've done in the last few years for us.
Yeah, over the last, I'd say, decade or so, we've done what I'll call a smattering of facilities-related work with the district, primarily with your former director of facilities, Matt Havens.
Okay.
But I've also worked with the CBO, Mr. Hawkins, on some of those matters as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
Ms. Nguyen.
Good evening. You've answered quite a few of my questions. When I first became a board member in 2002, Lozano Smith worked with Antelope Valley Union High School District quite a bit. And so I know that you've answered several of my questions just simply because you have worked with us. And it's been quite some time off and on. We have a current contract with you right now, don't we? But if we need to use your firm.
That is correct.
Ms. Nguyen, I believe we do, yes.
Pardon?
We do have a current
Yes.
contract and a PO with them.
And I think you mentioned that you do work with California School Board Association, CSBA.
Yes, we partner and work with all of the major California education-related associations, CSBA, AXA, Coalition for Adequate School Housing, CASBO, not only as speakers, but also partners in terms of on committees. My colleague, Mr. Fagan, talked about his work with CSBA on some of the what I call critical topics that face school districts. We've also done that work. One of my partners, Mike Smith, has been involved in that for years. We've served as amicus on a number of litigated California Supreme Court cases where we have represented CSBA on behalf of school districts on those issues.
Thank you. And can you tell us, although you did list in your presentation, your portfolio here, some of the other districts that you work with in the Antelope Valley, West Side. Can you give me some other districts, or have
Yeah.
you worked with other districts?
Yes, certainly. We've been general counsel for West Side for a long time. We also represented Palmdale School District. I think in the past, we represented Lancaster at a time. I don't think we work with them now. Other districts in this valley?
We've also represented Wilsona School District in the past, and we represent the Keppel Union Elementary School District.
Thank you. I do see that you do work with charter school issues and special education and labor unions. Have you ever worked with our labor unions?
I have not. It's like I don't do labor negotiations.
Oh, that's right. You
If
mentioned that.
And it's been some time since I think we've worked with you all in terms of your labor and employment work. But, you know, Darren Kamei is formerly our chair of our firm-wide labor and employment practice group. And he represents districts throughout the state in terms of labor negotiations.
So I have not personally worked with your labor unions. We do work with CSEA, CTA, AFT, and various unions across the state. We are aware that your labor negotiations do take a lead in terms of the Valley. And we have been, as a necessity, monitoring various developments, largely because, for example, the instructional calendar for elementary school districts generally aligns with whatever you folks finally negotiate.
Thank you. I just want to, my last comment is just a thank you. Every year you send us a copy of the current Brown Act provisions, and I do appreciate that. Thank you. That's all.
Ms. Corona.
So I did hear a little bit of the why from, I think you, but I would love to hear, no, maybe it was from you, Miss Eleanor. Yes, is that, but I would love to hear from any of the other three as to why us? Why do you feel you want to have that special connection with us?
Well, I'll just mention that as I do work with several elementary school districts in the area, it would be a pleasure and I think satisfying to me to work with you and have, at least in terms of what we're advising, some continuity of the pipeline for students from one district to another. Obviously, each district has its own issues, but knowing that there are certain programs or initiatives occurring at the elementary school district level can assist in terms of what you folks might see on the receiving end of high school students coming in.
Thank you. Mr. Sanchez.
No questions.
He's
You
feeling
guys did
left
a
out.
good job, though. Good job on the presentation, each one of you, though. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you very much for your presentation. Basically, I know you guys work with the West Side, correct? And those are our feeder districts. So, all right, thank you very much for presentation. It was outstanding.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Nehan, our last.
Our final firm to present this evening is McCune and Harbor.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Dominic Quiller. I'm a partner at McCune Harbor. I'm here today not to try to be general counsel like everybody else. And, I like to say I'm very honored. I actually work with all three of these firms. I think they're all great, to be honest with you. So I'm honored to have an opportunity to come up here and speak with you and go last, right? I mean, it's just, there were presentations and they had a whole team and it's just me. So very humbled and honored. Thank you. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself. So I've been a partner in McCune Harbor since 2010. Our firm the main partner has been practicing for 40 years. All right. They used to be part of Lindbergh and Watkins, and then our current firm split off about 18 years ago. I would love to be your board counsel. And what that means to me is you each have my cell phone numbers. You each have my email. You know, after 8 o'clock, I usually am in bed unless it's an emergency. The weekends, I try to hang out, but you know, you can call or text me on the weekends if you need anything. Myself, I specialize in litigation, right? So pretty much everything that you could think of, I've done, right? We've had at least 2 cases with this school district before, sexual assault. I represent Antelope Valley Schools Transportation Authority. We've had a case with them, and actually I'm in trial tomorrow at the Lancaster Courthouse representing them. We represent Antelope Valley Community College District as well, and Lancaster School District, so very familiar with the area. I would also like to be your litigation counsel, right? I myself have been published by the California Supreme Court, US 9th Circuit Court of Appeals. I am very well versed in every area of civil litigation that you can imagine. I think that we are, you know, everyone else says they're the preeminent firm, so I'm going to say the same thing. And Ms. Corona, you're going to ask why. Well, you guys saved the best for last. I mean, that's just my opinion, right? Everyone else here said the same thing, so I'm going to say I'm the best as well too. And so, you know, we can't all be the best, but we can all do the best that we can, right, to coexist and work well together. That's the end of my presentation. I don't have a full team here. It's myself. We do have 10 lawyers at the firm, but you know, when and if you hire me, you'll be hiring Dominic Quiller, right? You won't be hiring somebody down the hall. You'll be hiring me. Of course, people will help me with stuff, but you're hiring me and I will be your representative. So if you have any questions, sorry, Ms. Corona, but anyone else?
Thank you. Ms. McGrady.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate you coming, and you're an excellent speaker. First, I'd like to give you a praise that I tried to do my due diligence and find out about the firm. So I tried to contact attorneys that do not live in this area that I happen to know, and you have an excellent reputation in litigation. So I wanted you to know that. But with that being said, no one that I contacted in education had ever heard of your firm before. And that doesn't mean that you're not good. And I don't mean that at all, but I'm just saying that you are not known as an education firm. So if we hired you, would you be able to handle all the ed codes and all the issues and the Brown Act and all the rules and regulations that we live by?
Yeah, so I'm actually quite surprised. I wonder who it is that you called. If you call Lancaster School District or Antelope Valley.
No, I didn't. I did not. And I saw that, but I
Yes.
actually was trying to go outside our area and say, what have you heard about this firm? Not just the people that you had on here that you've worked with, but so what do you know about them?
Yeah, so definitely. So let me put it in this context. So the other firms here, and in fact, I actually had a special ed case with Jabari not too long ago. These firms do the day-to-day. So they'll do the special education services. That's what they do. So maybe that's why, you know, you haven't heard of us, because we don't do that day-to-day. I do the back end. I do the litigation. So when the other firms mess up and there's a lawsuit, it comes to me. So that's our role, right? That's our role.
Well, when I looked up your firm on your page, you it says you're litigators and you do entertainment law and you litigate for business people and all those kind of things. And you did mention education, but it wasn't like a big push, and that concerned me.
Yeah, the majority of our clients are school districts. So I do know the Brown Act. I'm not going to tell you that I know it word for word or sub statute or subdivision by subdivision, but I do frequently actually write readouts for your closed sessions, right? I'm well versed in that. I have to give presentations a lot to school boards because in closed session, we have to talk about settling cases, right? So I do the litigation side. So I am completely well versed in the Brown Act. I help agendize items. I help revise the board agendas and let boards and yourself, if I'm lucky enough, know what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Nguyen.
Well, the other law firms must not have messed up too much because you haven't worked with us that often. So I guess they must be doing a good job as well.
No, these firms are great. I haven't had the pleasure to have a number of cases with you. I don't know who your primary litigation counsel has been. We've had two, and one of them was actually what we call an indemnity claim. So like I said, I represent Antelope Valley Schools Transportation Authority. In the last case that I had the pleasure to work with, I think it was Bridget Cook was counsel at that time. Yes, so they were, you guys were sued on an indemnity agreement because our client has a contract. So there was no direct work, but yes, these are all fine attorneys, like I said, so.
You have answered most of my questions. I don't remember having the pleasure of working with you, but you have worked with the Antelope Valley Union High School District. And my next question would be, have you ever worked with the California School Board Association?
No, I have not.
Okay. And do you have attorneys that would have an expertise in charter school as well as special education law and labor union?
We do not do labor unions.
Okay.
In terms of the charter schools and the special education law, again, I'm not as, as experienced as Jabari or Mr. Fagan or Lozano Smith on the day-to-day. We handle the back end. So for example, if a student is alleging that they didn't get the proper assistive services, I do handle the back end and I handle the lawsuits and try to get those settled. So that's what we do on the back end. We don't do the day-to-day. So I'm here today not to be the general counsel to handle that day-to-day, but I would like to be your litigation counsel if it gets to that point.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ms. Corona.
Well, you already answered the why.
Partially.
So, partially, but I would love to hear more specifically of, how you, because again, I'm new to the board and it sounds like with my two colleagues, Ms. McGrady and Ms. Nguyen, that they have more of a history of who has been counsel for our district. So how did you come to apply or present the RFP and give us a little more about the why you want that special connection with us.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Inglewood in the 90s, and Inglewood in the 90s kind of looks just like Lancaster now. I have cousins who live here, several sets of cousins. So I'm here a lot for them. I also, again, represent other entities in this area. And it reminds me of my upbringing. And so, like I said, I think that we are the preeminent litigation firm. And so I think that this school district deserves the best on all fronts. And that's really why. I can't say that I'm more special than Mr. Willis or Mr. Villegas or Mr. Fagan. I'm not going to lie to you and say that, but I will say that I will do my best, right? And I do think that I have that connection because I have family here. And it does remind me of, where I grew up. So.
Thank you. Oh, I just also want to comment on, thank you for your courage to come by yourself, stand up. I commend that. I think that's awesome. So thank you for your time.
One thing about me, I'm not a shy person. So my mom was a teacher. I think you've heard that. So I didn't want to say that. I'm an Eagle Scout. I don't think anybody else here is an Eagle Scout. I play college sports. You're an Eagle Scout as well. All right. All my honor. All right. I play college sports. I give presentations. I actually was in my hotel room earlier giving a presentation to a city council. So not shy at all. And I live in Orange County. I drove 3 hours to come out here. That's how important it was for me. So.
Mr. Sanchez.
Well, I have no questions for you, but thank you for the presentation. And you seem to be very upfront about everything. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really, I enjoyed your presentation. Thought it was great.
All right. Congratulations on your victories as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's it. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on to F. And this is a consideration of the agreement for legal services with I'm just going to say AALRR. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider the agreement for legal services with AALR. And at this time, I would like to make a motion to approve that agreement for legal services with Atkins, Anderson, Loyal, Rudd, and Romo. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, duly seconded. Discussion. And I'll start with Ms.
Well, my
McGrady.
question is, for what position point, you said we're offering them a contract for anything particular or what?
Ma'am, this is item F of the agenda.
For
It's-
general counsel. So you're choosing one group for general counsel, is that correct?
Ma'am, we were going to go follow the agenda, and the agenda, we're on F. And if you follow the agenda, then we'll go to G and then H.
I'm sorry, I
and
did
then
jump down
I.
to J. I sure did.
Yeah, okay. I'm
so
sure you're excited, but we'll get there.
What, I guess what my question is we are then voting on each group for a contract with us?
Yes, ma'am. What it is item F is
I understand. So we're doing that for each group.
Yes.
So if we give, what I'm asking, if we give Atkinson a contract, then we're not giving anyone else a contract.
Ma'am, we have the ability to give everybody a contract, nobody a contract,
That's what I'm
1, 2, 3, 4,
That's what I'm
not 5,
asking.
because we don't have 5 people.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to go individually on each group as they presented, is my understanding, through the agenda, F, G, H, and I, and then we will get into general counsel, and then we'll get into board counsel.
Thank you.
Mr. Hughes, if I could just clarify, the contract allows the district to engage in services with the firms. And it doesn't indicate that there is any guarantee of work or not, but it allows us to conduct business with them.
Absolutely, sir. That is exactly what we're doing here. All right, thank you. So we have a motion, we have a second, we're in discussion. Ms. McGrady, do you have anything to discuss on this particular group of AALRR?
Not at all.
Okay, Ms. Nguyen.
After I talked with our labor groups and our unrepresented management personnel, and the practice that we've actually enjoyed for the last 20-some years is working with different law firms for various specific needs in our district. It has worked very well for us. We currently have open contracts with various law firms, and I believe continuity plays an important role in the successful operation of the business for the school district. So I'd like to see that continued. And that way staff has the ability to work with the law firms that they're comfortable in working with and have had experience in working with. And I think that that's important for us to consider.
Okay. Ms. Corona.
I don't have it. Sorry, I don't have anything else to discuss.
Mr. Sanchez.
Nothing to add. No.
And I don't have anything to discuss. I was very impressed with that presentation. So it's time to vote. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. McGrady, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, and that's a yes for me. Congratulations, AALRR. Now we'll move to G, consideration of the agreement for legal services with Fagan, Friedman, Full Frost, LLP. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider the agreement for legal services with Fagan, Friedman, and Full Frost, LLP. I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the agreement for legal services with Fagan, Friedman, and Full Frost, LLP. Can I have a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Nguyen. All right, discussion, Ms. McGrady.
No discussion.
You're good? Okay, Ms. Nguyen.
For most of the time that I've worked with the Antelope Valley Union High School District, I've worked with Fagan, Friedman, Full Frost, and I've found them to be extremely professional and the ability to meet the needs of our school district. We're a large district. We have many concerns, and as well as a charter, special ed, our unions, I have to say that I talked with both of our unions. They both enjoyed the professional relationship with Fagan Friedman Fullfrost. And I feel that it's an advantage for our district to continue the relationship.
Great.
And it's not because I'm from Iowa too.
That's a plug.
No,
all
not the
right.
plug.
Ms. Corona.
Well, I do want to, I'm very grateful for the presentation because you can only read so much in a proposal. So it was wonderful to have a human story and a human connection that goes with the actual proposal. I definitely, based on observations throughout the past several months, there are definitely some concerns that I have with the firm. However, the folks that you brought in today brought it up to a different level for me. So I feel a little more confident in this proposal. So I just want to say that if that's considered a discussion.
Absolutely.
But I do want to be open about there are some concerns.
Mr. Sanchez.
Nothing to add.
Yeah, and I would like to jump on that bandwagon as well. I've seen some concerns as well. However, I'm very impressed, Mr. Fagan, with your presentation and your partners with you. It did bring it up to a better level of my understanding, your presentation. I'm glad that we're doing this process. I'm glad I got to see you. I was probably kind of leaning towards probably not a good thing for you guys, but I'm very impressed, and I just want to be open, honest, and transparent. However, you four are outstanding, and I'm impressed. And at that time, I have a motion. I have a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. McGrady?
Yes.
And it's a yes for me too. Congratulations. You're back. You're here. I'm sure we'll have some discussions. All right. We're going to move to H. Consideration of the agreement for legal services with Lozano Smith LLP. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider the agreement for legal services with Lozano Smith LLP. And I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the agreement for legal services with Lozano Smith LLP. Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, Mr. Sanchez, thank you. Discussion, Ms. McGrady.
No, nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Nguyen.
As I mentioned, I had the opportunity to work with Lozano Smith when I became a board member in 2002. And there were never concerns. The only thing is I never saw a Lozano Smith attorney for the, it was about 4 years. And then our general counsel became Fagan Friedman Fullfrost. Well, that was my only comment, negative comment. Otherwise, like I said, I appreciate the Brown Act booklet that you send out to us all every year, and appreciate as well, as Ms. McGrady said, the little legal updates that you send via email. Thank you.
Ms. Sanchez, Ms. Corona.
That's me. No, the one thing I want to state is that I appreciated the comments about the more of a community, or at least how I interpreted what you were saying is it took a village. One of you said that, and I did appreciate that. And so hearing Ms. Nguyen's comment about not seeing an attorney, I would hope that with the presentation tonight and how you've said it is about a community and being taking a village and being here, that we won't have that issue. We will see people at, of course, only when we need to. But that,
expensive.
yeah, they are expensive. I should have been a lawyer, not a teacher. So I just want to add that, and that's my comment.
And I'll get it correct. Mr. Sanchez.
Well, I just got to say, you guys have a team. Each one of you have a special task, and I can see, because Eleanor, I kind of touch like heart to heart, because you were a teacher, right? An educator. and now you work with the students. So to me, that was a big plus. And thank you for your services. Thank you.
All right, and I'd just like to say I was very impressed as well. You know, you're highly recommended, of course. You guys got a long-term relationship with a lot of our feeder districts, which is very impressive. And that's all I have to say. If there's any other discussion, and I don't see any, we'll go ahead and vote. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right. Ms. McGrady, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, and you got a yes vote for me, and congratulations. All right, consideration for the agreement for legal services with McCune and Harbor LLP. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider the agreement for legal services with McCune and Harbor LLP. I will make the motion to approve the agreement for legal services with McCune and Harbor LLP. Can I get a second?
Second. Second.
Right, duly seconded. Discussion. I'll go to you, Ms. McGrady.
I'm concerned just about the education part of it, but I am impressed with the litigation.
Awesome. Ms. Nguyen.
I too have a concern about some of the areas that the firm does not work with. I'm just say it right now, I'm a big union person, and the fact that you don't do that much work with unions concerns me. But I do appreciate your track record in litigation, and I also appreciate your honesty and openness in your presentation. Thank you.
Senator. I said it again. This is Corona. Sorry.
Ms. Corona. thank
Miss
you.
Corona.
You're gonna get me in trouble, bro.
I know. All right, so I definitely hear my fellow board members' concerns. However, looking at Mr. Quiller, did I say your last name correctly? You went to UC, oh, you went to UCLA Law. So I have all confidence and faith that even though you don't have necessarily the expertise that they're expressing concerns on, that you will step up to the plate, because it sounds like just by you coming up here as an individual, you already stepped up to the plate to present. So that is not a concern of mine. I believe that everyone can learn and fulfill whatever commitment would be given as far as a duty or a job. So I want to just make sure that you hear that part of it as well. Your presentation was great. Because you came here to propose board counsel and litigation, that's why I don't have that concern. It's the back end. It's the behind the scenes using my theater background. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Let me get this, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. No, well, I gotta say is, you might not have the experience, but you came out here to get the experience, right? So that being said, I'm a big believer that everybody has to start somewhere. Everybody starts from the ground up. And who knows, maybe you're gonna be the number one guy, the number two guy, but as long as we work as a team, we're gonna be a unit here. And I appreciate you coming out here. But we need people like you too. Okay, thank you.
All right, last but not least, this man has argued in front of the California Supreme Court. This man right here is UCLA. I'm a Duck, so go Duck, but I root for UCLA as well. Unless they're playing the Ducks, of course. This guy was on the honor roll, dean list, track and field. He's 400 meter hurl champion. All right. So this guy's a lot of stuff, and I don't have any concern. I loved your presentation. You came alone. You rocked it. I'm good. I don't understand the concern. I don't think you came here to be our general counsel. You said that. I heard that loudly. So I really appreciate your honesty, and I was very impressed. You have an outstanding list of accomplishments here. So it's pretty simple for me. I have a motion. I have a second. Is there any more discussion from my colleagues? No? All right, it's time to vote. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote? Ms. McGrady, how do you vote?
Yes.
Outstanding. Congratulations. You made the team. And I'm a yes as well. Thank you very much. Keep me straight. Here's the gavel. Thank God I got Ms. Corona here. All right. Now we can get to the good stuff. The Board of Trustees, this is Jay, the Board of Trustees is asked to appoint a general counsel for the district. And I'm going to make a motion to appoint Atkinson's, Adelson, Loyal, Rudd, and Romo, AALR, to general counsel for this district. Can I get a second?
Mr. Hughes, you need a first and a second to open the item and then discussion.
I did.
You had a first and a second? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Well, I made the motion. I
Okay, so
asked
you
for
need
a second.
A second.
I
Did you
know
get a
people are
second?
nervous here, but it's not too clear. So I'll start that again. I'll make a motion.
It was for a company.
I said that. Say again?
So you have a first, now we need a second.
Well, hold on.
We didn't get there yet.
I was trying to get there, but let me just restart this. It's very simple. I make a motion to appoint AALR general counsel for the district. Item J. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, now we have a second discussion. I'll go to you, Ms. McGrady, first.
Yes, first, I would ask that we table this vote till next week. We received so much information yesterday and this evening. We're going to spend millions of dollars on this decision. I think we need to take some time. We have a meeting next week. I would ask that we table it till next week and make a decision then. I tried to do a flow chart, but I didn't have time. You know, there was just there's too much information to get through. So I would ask that we table it till our meeting next week and then possibly put it on for closed session as well, so we can have an open discussion among the 5 of us.
Okay, Ms. Nguyen, discussion.
Was that a motion then?
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second.
That was discussion. I'm
Yeah,
asking
this
if we
is,
could
we're
do
in
that.
discussion. Yeah.
Having very little interaction with AALR. I'm hesitant to approve. Hold on, Mike. There we go. Like I said, I've worked with Peyton Friedman Fulfrost for 20 years. My own personal attorney I've had for 25 years. I believe that longevity actually creates a more positive working relationship. Very little interaction, like I said, with AALRR. I'm sure that they're an excellent law firm, or I wouldn't have voted yes for them to have a contract with us. But I think the benefit of knowing our attorneys and working with them and having them know us and working with other school districts in our valley is a valuable asset that I'd hate to give up.
So noted, yeah, outstanding. Ms. Corona.
As a new board member, I haven't worked with anyone. So I feel that anyone that we bring forth is going to be new to me. So I am just coming from a different point of view as Ms. Nguyen and Ms. McGrady, because you've been here for longer than me. So I don't have a problem voting on this tonight. I read through the contracts. I took my notes. I listened. I mentioned already I have concerns about F3. So I feel like change is a good thing. And for me, after 25 years, I feel like it's others' opportunity. So I'm okay taking the vote. I don't think we need to table it. That's just me.
Okay, Mr. Sanchez.
I'm ready to go. I pretty much got here, 2-3 hours before this happened. So I went through everything. And I think I kind of have a rough idea what I want to do.
Okay, great. I have no discussion now. I'll go ahead and move to the vote.
I have some questions and I have some more comments.
Oh, sure,
So
go
if-
ahead.
If we're absolutely going to go ahead with this, I think there's some questions we need to ask. Do any of us have any prior connections with anybody in this firm?
I'll let Ms. Nguyen,
No.
this firm, because you have connections with F3 and you have
With
connections with
Atkinson.
F3.
That-
Okay, but
we're talking
with
about the
this
firm that we are voting on.
AALRR.
Oh, I thought you meant beyond
We're voting on a firm. I'm asking if any of us have had connections or any relationships with anyone in that firm.
AALRR, we're talking about. Yes. Do you have any relationships with AALRR? Okay. Do you have any?
No, I do not.
Okay, Ms. Cron.
No.
Mr. Sanchez? Negative. I don't either.
Thank you. Did anyone from that firm contribute to any of our campaigns? And I can say no, not to mine.
This one?
Oh, no.
Did they contribute
No.
to your campaign? Ms. Cron?
No.
Mr. Sanchez? Not me either, no.
Okay, and I think, I just felt like we needed to spend more time. And particularly like even Ms. Corona, you said that you were totally had a different opinion of one group's from their presentation tonight. I'd like for us to be able to take some time to think about it. I didn't come in with a preconceived idea. I just got this yesterday, so
I don't
tried
think
to read
anybody
through
had
it
a
all.
preconceived
Oh, well,
idea.
I'm sorry, I thought that's what you said. You knew
No,
when
he
you
came in earlier today, he said, and he
Yes.
read his document, so he's very prepared
And
for
I
tonight.
did. I mean, I
Oh,
tried to too. I'm just saying that
You
there's a
tried
lot of
to, or did
information.
you?
So I was trying to make sure that we're doing our due diligence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm
Awesome.
sorry. Are you saying the board agenda or their proposals? Because the proposals we've had for over a week.
No, I just got mine night before. I got them in the evening, but I looked at it yesterday.
Because they were due on the 5th and Rachel had them ready, because I picked
You
my.
came in and looked
right?
at yours at the 5th? Oh, I didn't.
No, they were due on the 5th. or
Yeah,
the
they were
12th.
made
Wait, Can you
available.
clarify?
They were
what
made available to the board on Tuesday when we released the agenda.
The proposal, oh, I guess I just read it a lot fast. I don't know how, I just got through it all. Okay, I just felt like I had a longer time to look at it, so I'm sorry. Apologies.
And do you have any other discussion items or
No,
questions for the
no, I
board?
just like to take some time. I'd like to not do this right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Duly noted. I'll go ahead and take the vote. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote?
No.
Okay, Ms. McGrady, how do you vote?
No.
Okay, and I guess I get a say congratulations. It's a yes for me. And actually, can you come up and take the seat? You're a new general counsel. Come on up. You can sit right there next to Mr. Nehan. Congratulations. I think this is an outstanding moment. It's the best. All right. We're filling the board. We're filling our governance team right here. I like it. All right. All right. Item K, appoint general counsel for the board. I don't like that statement, but the Board of Trustees is asked to appoint general counsel for the board. I'm going to make a motion to appoint McCune and Harbert LLP Board Counsel for the Board of Directors. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, duly seconded. Time for discussion. Ms. McGrady.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to point out that the first time in our history, the only time the board has ever needed an attorney was when Mr. Davis was here. So we had an attorney for that
You
11
finally said
months.
his name, but go on.
Well, okay, during that time period.
Mr. who?
Davis,
Oh, Davis.
Bob Davis.
Okay.
That's the only time that we've ever had an attorney for the board. And I'm curious because we've not discussed this at all, why we need an attorney for the board. Why do we?
Why do we need an attorney for
Why
the
do
board?
we need an attorney for the board?
No, are you asking me?
Yes,
as
I
the
am.
president? Okay,
Yeah.
great. I can say, as a newly appointed president, newly appointed or newly elected board of director, there's been some stuff that I've seen at this, and I'm not going to really air dirty laundry. And I'm very concerned with some of our not following policies, and we'll probably get to that in a little bit later in our discussion on our meetings. And I really believe, me personally, I believe that this board would benefit from having counsel to be able to, run ideas by or check things out. Because you've both been on this board for a long time. I've seen very interesting stuff from your past majorities for many, many years that deeply concerns me. And I truly believe that we need a board counsel to be able to run ideas, questions, legal questions. This is a very litigious business that we're in. So that's my answer to you.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you just told, I'm sorry.
That's Jabari
Jamari, thank you,
Willis.
Mr. Jamari, that he would be sitting here from now on. So he
I
will
don't
be.
think I said that. I told him to sit down and that's the seat. And-
Right,
and
so Mr. Jamari will be here to answer questions or to keep us on track. It hurts my heart to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars that should be going for children.
Ms. Nguyen, I'm just gonna jump in here. I think you approved a bonus. I'm gonna say it a bonus because I don't know the legal ramifications of some of our attorneys before that probably should really hurt your heart, but we will get into that later in a later discussion. I appreciate what you have to say.
Thank you.
Ms. Nguyen.
I think I'm confused because, so as a board member, we'll have two general counsels?
No, we have a general counsel that has been just appointed by this board. And we will have a board counsel if this is the will of the board. Of course, we have to still take a vote.
So that to me brings up the question, there's a concern, a legal concern. Do I go to this firm or do I go to that firm? I've never felt the
You
need.
can't go to any firm.
Well, all right, staff then, I guess.
Oh,
I've
staff.
always felt as if general counsel serves the board as well as the district. So now we'll have two, basically. That's confusing to me. I've never had this. I've never been on the board when we had two different general counsels. And in a way, that's exactly what we would have. I don't anticipate doing anything that would require an attorney. I don't anticipate doing anything wrong. And if I do have a concern, I'll go to the superintendent who will, I'm sure, confer with legal counsel. So I don't understand the need or the financial responsibility of having another general counsel.
So noted. All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other discussion, Ms. Caron?
No, I'm clear on the need for two. And and just to make sure, it's on an as needed basis. So unless we use the individual, there's no cost. It's right. Is that correct? to
Absolutely correct.
Understand? Okay. So I don't think there's a problem with having two.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
so let's clarify that.
Hold
So,
on.
so it will
Excuse
be,
me. Can I give Mr. Sanchez a chance and I'll get back to you on your second round
trying
or
to
third
clarify
round?
what she said.
Excuse me.
I was trying to clarify what she just said.
Well, let me get to
Okay,
Mr. Sanchez
that's
real
fine.
quick. Mr. Sanchez, do you have any discussion?
Right now, I really don't. I mean, it's time for a change. I think, that's all.
Now back to you, Ms. McGrady.
Thank
You
you.
have a clarification.
Ms. Carney
question.
just said that we would be paying him hourly. Is that correct? So he will only receive an hourly paycheck if you call him on an item. He won't be at board meetings. Is that correct?
I'm not sure yet. That'll be something that we can determine later or if we want, but this item is to appoint him.
I was just trying to clarify what she said and you agreed with what she said. Would you say that again? Yeah,
Well, I didn't say hourly. I just,
no. you
my
said ju-
understanding of
just
if
as
we, go ahead.
No. Go
Okay.
ahead.
What I was saying was.
Can
I
we
just
get a
want-
mediator any mediators
No,
out
I
there?
just wanted to
Since
make.
we've hired you all. I think we got some.
I know,
Go ahead.
anyway. No, just for my understanding is that this is a board council. Board council. I don't want to use the word general council only because I think of general council as
We have it.
as district wide. That's just my for semantics. So board council, and if we needed anything answered or concerns or things of that nature, then the board could reach out to the appointed. And at that point is when we would have to pay a fee. Otherwise, they're just standing in the wings. Is that correct, Mr. Hughes?
Yes, with all our councils, with.
Well,
Mr.
right, with
Willis,
all of
with
our councils, but,
with our,
so this
our
is,
500 attorneys out there that now represents us based
so
on
this
our
is just
contracts.
another supplement.
Huh? Oh, excuse, sir, I'm sorry, I can't allow you. There's no comments. So I mean, you had to do that prior. Am I correct? Mr. Willis, am I correct with that? Sorry. But I will talk to you right after this meeting. Absolutely, and answer everything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I
go
thought
ahead.
you were
I
finished.
No, go ahead.
So we already have approved a contract with them. So they're already available to the district to use their services, correct?
Self-explanatory, yes.
So then I guess that causes a little bit more confusion for me because we've already approved a contract, we've approved a general counsel, and not sure, it seems to me then that if we did have a concern, we actually could contact any one of those law firms that we just approved
Who?
contract with.
Who are you talking about when you say we? You personally?
No, the board.
The board personally?
I've never contacted one of our
Well,
attorneys personally.
The last meeting, we had a motion that the two individuals that have the authority to contact legal services
Yeah,
from
yeah.
let me clarify,
No,
from
okay. So the
our,
we and
ours would be myself and Mr. Nehan
the we
currently
is,
for general counsel.
the we is
That is
all
my
five of
understanding.
it, all five of us. So I
But
don't
we're going to get to
understand.
that. That's the next item.
That's why don't understand why the board needs a separate attorney, because we already have approved we've already approved a contract with them, right? We've approved a contract with all four firms, so
Yes.
if the board has a concern, any one of the four can answer that, right?
Well,
I just wanted to, I feel like the reason we're doing this is to have one point of contact. That's how I am understanding it. And that's the reason we want to have a board council. So yes, we have four
100,
large,
500, 600 attorneys.
a lot of attorneys, but that we know Mr. or Ms. So-and-so, well, in this case, Mr., because you were the only one to propose. So-and-so, we have a question instead of, oh, who should we talk to in ALRR? Instead, we know, oh, we call them. That's how I feel this would be beneficial.
We have hired, just to clarify, we have hired AALRR as our general, or
Right,
as
that was
our
just the first one that came to my mind.
general counsel, and the representative AALRR, which is our general counsel, is Mr. Jabari.
Right, but
Willis.
I'm saying for the board to, there's a person that we call instead of having to figure out who to talk to.
Yeah, so let me help this out.
Correct.
There's 5 board of directors up here. We each represent about 20% of our overall district of the Antelope Valley Union High School district. You have the same authority as I, Ms. Corona, Mr. Sanchez. We all represent our area, right?
Yes.
This is a legal, unfortunately, this is a very logistic or legal process of what we do. We have general counsel for the district now. We've all approved that, and the majority has spoken. What I'm saying is board counsel will be for the board. If you have a question, I have a question, Ms. Corona, I have a question, Mr. Sanchez or Ms. McGrady can speak to that council. And that's what we're doing here. If
Actually, for me, if I have a question, I'm going to Mr. Nehan.
you can do that.
He's a superintendent, and then he, as far as I'm concerned, he's the one that will decide which attorney he needs to ask to answer my question, but that's the way it's always been for.
Well, I can tell you that
long
all that, this is how we've always done it. Probably is not going to work too far because we have, I will say there's a new majority on the board. You guys have had majorities for a long, long time. This is the new majority. We're new, and we may have some fresh ideas. You may like them, you may not. But the great thing about this, it's majority rules. You got to count to 3. So, any other discussion? No?
I had something and it went away. So maybe in a moment, it'll come back because I
I'm
did
just
have
going to give you
something.
your time, Ms. Corona.
No, don't focus on me because then I'll really forget.
Mr. Sanchez, do you want to speak or anything? Is there anything else would you like to add, Ms. McGrady?
I just a comment, and I don't mean this in an offensive way. I don't, but I would love it if we could let you all go through some governing sessions and find out what our job is before we really start changing everything from the top down. Because this isn't something that Ms. Nguyen and I made up. and we've been doing for years. It's, there's an entire organization called CSBA, and they teach us how to be good board members. And we could, any one of these firms that's here could give us a governance session that would help so much for you, for all of us. It'd be good for us to go as well. We all go and we need to go, but it would help us before we start turning everything upside down and saying, we have a new majority and you're going to do what you want to do. And that's
It's
fine.
called
You
voting.
can, you
It's called
absolutely
voting.
can, but wouldn't it be good to learn about the job before we start changing everything? Just thought.
I won't take offense to that. I think.
Good, thank you. I don't mean it in
53
an
years
offensive
old,
way.
and
I don't.
I've ran a bunch of boards. I've been on, I'm a union man as well. I've sit and represented statewide unions. I've done local, done labor. I think I've done a little bit, but I'm not offended by your statement. Go ahead, Ms. Cronin.
Well, I am offended because we were elected. I mean, December, well, I'll just say we were elected, and on December 9th, we were sworn in for the job. Since December 9th, I have been, and even prior to that, been educating myself, self-educating, trying to go back a little bit in the history, doing how I feel is my due diligence. I am an educated, smart, pretty vocal woman of
Brilliant.
color. Thank you. And I feel like by you making the claim that we're trying to flip everything upside down, I just don't know if that's the best way that we want to begin. I truly feel like we are here for the best interest of the students, of the
First and foremost.
community, of how can we make some change? As the great John Lewis said, let's make some good trouble. And I believe in that. And I feel like if we took a seminar, how do you know that's gonna actually change anything that we've learned the week prior? So I truly don't feel like we don't have the time to stall. We need to start, our community is ready. We have to make some changes, and this is one of the big changes. And as I sat in the audience since June, and definitely some concerns. So I've been, learning, and I just feel like, let's do it. Why wait? I feel confident with all of the materials that I have been given. I too sit on an executive council. I also sit on a board of trustees for a Bay Area nonprofit arts organization for 7 years. I just feel like I wish I didn't feel like you were diminishing me in my space right now. So thank you.
May I say, please forgive me if you feel that way. I did not mean offense. I did not.
Apology accepted.
Thank you.
Mr. Sanchez, do you have anything?
No, just the only thing I gotta remember and remind us is that we're here for our community. We're not here for personal opinions. We're here for, and we heard our people, and we gotta give them what they want. That's the bottom line. We gotta give them what they want. If something hasn't been working, we gotta make a change. That's my big belief. If something hasn't been working, we have to change it. That's the bottom line.
Ms. McGrady, do you have anything else?
No.
Ms. Nguyen, do you have anything else?
No, like I mentioned before, I'm a big union person, and
And you're on this whole board with major union people.
it does concern me that they don't or haven't worked with unions. So that's where
Yeah,
I'm
let me
coming
help
from.
out on that concern. I think he's going to be, if the vote goes the way and we do hire McCune and Harbor as our board council, I don't think the board council will be doing negotiations with our labor unions. I think that's a pretty solid thing. So if that's your concern, you shouldn't have a concern. Because I don't think the board council that we're going to utilize will be doing labor negotiations. I believe that would be the prospect of our general counsel. And think, Mr. Willis, you guys do a lot in labor negotiations. And we have F3, you guys do labor negotiations? Or, you guys do labor negotiations? I think we're covered. I think I got about 500 attorneys here. I think this district probably be the most lawyer-covered district in the nation, I'd probably assume. So if you have any other concerns, please.
Have you ever gone on strike?
Have I ever
Just
been on strike? As a state worker, state employee, we cannot go on strike.
It makes a difference to me. My husband was an air traffic controller and went out on strike, and I walked the picket lines with him. And so for 2.5 years, my husband and I kept the union office open and found jobs for absolutely every single union worker in the Antelope Valley, and did not close that shop until everybody had a job. It's very important to me.
Outstanding. That is
Thank you.
amazing. I can tell you that. I basically was suspended, fired for me representing my union as well, out of the Department of Corrections. And I needed an attorney, and I got a great one, and it worked out real well for me. And I can tell you, in my history, I've saved so many jobs fighting for my union members. I got a great reputation for that. So I appreciate what you did, appreciate what I do, appreciate when Miguel, because that's a hardcore union, IBEW brother there. And I have a outstanding union member right here, as well as on the executive. So we share your concern. Is there any other discussion before I can do this vote? Seeing none, I'm going to go move to the vote. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote?
No.
All right, Ms. McGrady, how do you vote?
No.
Oh, great. Well, I got to do the tiebreak again. Welcome to the club. It's going to be an outstanding. You got a yes vote from me. That's 3-2. Sir, can you come up? And what I'd like to do right now, I'd like to get my team. This is a great team. I think this is such an awesome thing that we're doing here. I would like to get a photo of all of us, because this is the Antelope Valley Union High School District team right now. I'm really appreciative of that. If everybody come down, let's get a photo. Ms. Drake, do you want to take a photo? This is the team right here. It's chosen. Great. Oh. Somebody, all right, we got our. Short people. Short people. Thank you. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Statement. I have one more very integral part of this team. Mr. Millings, can you come and take this photo with us, please? This is actually he's part of our governance team. President from AVUHSD. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh my God, you're funny.
Bob knows I used to always say, "Wait, wait." Thank you, guys. I know you guys got long drives. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Can't wait to be working with you. All right. Mr. Nehan, are we ready to proceed? Okay.
Absolutely.
Item L, designate board members to consult with district legal representatives regarding legal services. The Board of Trustees is asked to designate board members to consult with district legal representatives regarding legal services. I make a motion to allow any Antelope Valley Union High School District Board of Director the authority to confirm with board counsel on any legal issue within the scope of their duties, with the responsibility to inform the Board of Directors the following month during closed session. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Ms. McGrady.
Yes, I mentioned earlier that a couple of years ago, we had.
Say his name.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just say a couple of years ago when we had, when we did have a board president, I mean, we had a, excuse me, a.
And you're
board
speaking of
attorney.
Robert Davis, the former board president, correct?
That's fine.
Okay.
I didn't need to say it, but you can.
No,
That's
say
fine.
his name if you're
No,
going to talk
I just
about it.
said a few years ago when we had a board attorney, we had a designee to talk to that attorney, but he was not able to bring back the information to all 5 board members. And I would like to make sure that doesn't happen again, that when you do talk to someone, that you bring back any information and assimilate for all 5 of us.
Well, actually, the part of the motion, ma'am, is to basically say that you, as the individual, if you, Miss McGrady, call Dominic and say, I have a question, right? Dominic will answer that question. And I believe Dominic can dispel that information to the board. He'll have all our emails, right? Miss McGrady asked me about this legal issue. Here you go. Now we all know this is about transparency. And then you have a requirement under this policy or under this motion at the next board meeting to say, hey, board, during closed session, I spoke with Dominic, or I spoke with Dominic, and I asked this question, and here it is, as you guys already got the emails. Very transparent. And I know the concern is that we're going to rack up legal bills. That's not going to happen. I know I'm not going to do that. I know I have my colleagues on this board. You guys aren't going to do that. But if you have a legitimate question, you can go to Dominic, now that he's our board counsel, and ask that question.
Okay. Thank you.
And Ms. Nguyen.
At the last board meeting, I voiced my concerns about financial implications, and that is a concern for me. I have and continued to, will continue. If I have a question, I will talk to Mr. Nehan. It's just the way it's always been done, and it's always worked out. It's not only a, actually, to me, an appropriate way to handle business, but it's also a protection for board members as well. I feel that talking with Mr. Nehan and asking him and letting him go on to ask an attorney if he feels that's necessary. Sometimes he has the answer and it doesn't need to go to an attorney. So like I said, I have concerns about the financial implications. And I feel like it protects me as a board member to talk to the superintendent.
Outstanding. All right, Ms. Corona.
I just have clarification. Did you say appropriate or inappropriate? Earlier you used the word appropriate, but I didn't hear if you said inappropriate or appropriate, just right now.
Oh, just right now?
Uh-huh.
Appropriate.
Appropriate,
It's
okay. Okay, thank you. And now I forgot again what I was going to say, but it had something to do with the speaking to Mr. Nehan. And of course, that's, I would think, our first point of contact. And as far as the just calling attorneys, the Dominic every week, not going to happen. I don't think that that's the point or benefit of his role for us. And then I think just, Ms. McGrady, I just want to hear a little more about, again, I'm new and I don't know the folks that you're referring to, but I'm just wondering, you've brought up several times this history, or we had a board president, Mr. Davis. So is that what you're having a bit of fear of, that this is going to maybe repeat itself? Although I feel very comfortable with this motion of if any of us speak to a council, it is disseminated the information, the question, the answer, that sort of thing. So that makes me feel very comfortable with it. But I just would ask and hope that all of us can come into this board with the new fabric of who we are, because we are all different people. I don't know who you're referring with as far as that, but I do hope we can move past what it sounds like is like a bad taste in your mouth. I mean, that's just kind of how it's feeling, like Mr. Davis, sorry, just left a bad taste in your mouth. So anyway, I just was wondering if you wanted to talk a little more.
May I talk?
If you want to. Yeah.
I'm asking Mr. Hughes,
No,
okay?
yeah, no,
Oh,
absolutely,
okay.
ma'am.
I just didn't want to,
No, absolutely. I'm just trying to keep things orderly so we don't need the mediator that costs us some money.
I don't think we need a mediator.
All right, cool.
Thank you, though.
Not yet.
Well, the reason I brought it up at all is because, as I said, it's the only time in our history that we've had an attorney for the board. And this president thought we needed an attorney for the board. And then he was our designee, but then he wouldn't bring back, when he would talk to him, he would only bring it to a few people. He didn't bring it to the whole board.
So that was a different motion, or it didn't have what we're building.
That's different.
Okay.
And we didn't discuss this ahead of time. I had no idea what this was. I thought we were re-nominating you as our designate, because we didn't discuss this. I had no idea till you explained it after I said that this is what this was, is that each of us could then call. I thought that we had talked at one point that we didn't want to do that simply because of the possible cost, but I agree with
No,
you.
you guys talked about that.
I
remember
don't
that.
think that will happen with us, but we could revisit if it does. I mean, if we get to where somebody's abusing it, then we can say, all bets are off.
I think
But-
last time I think my comment to that was if I'm abusing the general counsel that me and Mr. Nehan enjoy to have the communications with, I told you to call me out, and obviously I don't think you have a problem calling me out. You'll do that.
I'll do my best.
Oh, I am well aware of that, ma'am. All I can say is this, Dominic, don't charge me for this yet. I don't want to get yelled at and I'm going to report it. But you understand that if I called you, or Ms. Corona called you and asked you a question, you will disseminate that information to all 5 board of directors, all 6, including Mr. Nehan, and 7, including Mr. Willis. And they're the best too, by the way, he said. But in addition, I just want to point out too, yes, he is our board counsel, because that's what the board voted on. But also he has a contract, his firm has a contract in litigation. We potentially could be in litigation. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We could potentially be in litigation, and we have a contract with him, and he could provide that litigation service as well. We won't ask you to do any negotiations because that's not your specialty, but I think we have a whole bunch of people that can do that. And I know that, I think it was you, Ms. Wynn, you talked about the great relationship F3 has with our labor unions. Absolutely, I have no problems with that. So I think we're covered. I feel very covered. Anything else, Ms. McGrady?
I think that's it. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Wynn, anything else?
No, like I mentioned, financial implications concern me, especially since this is an area that we've not ever, well, as far as I've been on the board anyway, I've never had the concerns. We did have one board member many years ago who took it upon himself to call legal counsel, and there was a significant increase in the amount of money that we spent on legal counsel, which possibly didn't need to happen, or at least I felt that way. So that is a concern for me. But as far as I'm concerned, if I have a question, I will go to Mr. Nehan.
Absolutely, and that's your ability to do that, ma'am. Ms. Cronin, Mr. Sanchez, anything? I think we have a motion and we have a second. We'll all go ahead and move to the vote since I don't see any more discussion. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Wynn, how do you vote? Well, I'll
I'm
go
gonna
to Ms.
vote
McGrady.
no.
How do you vote? Oh,
I vote no.
I was wanted her to think about it. Seems like she was thinking about it.
Thank
Ms.
you.
McGrady, how do you
Thank
vote?
This is a tough one. I'm going to vote yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wynn, take your time.
No, I'm just not comfortable with it. I just am
Absolutely.
not,
It's hard to
so.
hear you even just start talking to the mic.
Well, I was hoping the mic was close
Take your
enough.
time. You got all day.
So,
all
no,
night.
no, I'm not comfortable with, like I said, in the past, it's always worked that we talk to the superintendent. And we have a contract with all of the firms as well. And so I'm going to vote no.
And that's a no, correct?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, the motion passes 4-1. All right. All right, M, discussion, board meeting schedule. The Board of Trustees will discuss the 2023 board meeting schedule. I requested this to be on the agenda because I think there was some confusion. 1 second. So part of the discussion is, and I touched on this earlier, one of the reasons I wanted a board council is so we could discuss certain rules and regulations. And one of the concerns I had is our first meeting, was it December 9th, I believe, when we were sworn in. The issue came across of we're setting a regular board meeting schedule. And I went back and I read our policy on that meeting that what we were supposed to do. And it's our bylaw 9100 organization. And it talked about the annual organizational meeting. And that's the first meeting when the elections are done, or it's every year. But in this case, there was an election for 3 of us. All 3 of us were successful in our election. And it talks about during that meeting, you'll elect a president, a vice president, a clerk, but it also talks about developing a schedule of regular meetings for the year. Now, we were presented with just a all or nothing schedule. I think one of my first actions as a president was to table that discussion. I brought it back into the special meeting, or Ms. Wynn, then you attended. You were ill in the hospital, and then you came that meeting. And I think one of your questions was, is this the only thing we get a vote on? And I said at that time, I said, that's my,
I got to vote.
yeah, well, all of us, well, we didn't get to vote on that either. It was, It was all or nothing as well. And I got to say, I think that was wrong based on reading this policy now. What we should have done is we should have developed that schedule at that meeting. And then subsequently now, we should have probably developed that at the second meeting because we didn't do it on the first meeting. And that was our rule that we didn't follow. Now, we are brand new. We didn't know. I was reading the rules. I didn't really understand that, but then now I do understand that. And then I went to training and I got a call to order book from the California State Boards Association. And I turned to page 26 and it talks about that meeting as well in our instructions from the manual or the book. And it says when new board members are elected, I'm getting old again. Let me get my glasses so I don't mess up. When new board members are elected, their ability may affect the board's meeting schedule. At the organizational meeting, the board must decide where. While a majority of meetings are conducted at the district or county offices, some boards rotate the location of their meetings through various school sites, which you suggested, and I agreed with you on that. And then what day, whether the board meets once or twice a month, the board must decide what day of week will be selected for the board's regular meetings. What time? The board usually fixes a set time to begin in its open session meetings. And then it says a majority of California school board members have full-time jobs, so their work and commute schedules need to be considered. This is from the California State School Board Association, which my understanding kind of sets how we do our business. We kind of follow their guidelines. And then we have a policy, which we didn't follow. That's another reason I wanted a board council to make sure we can operate all on the same page. And then, of course, Ms. Drake wrote a newspaper article and there was a comment, and I have it right here. And it says, I kind of took offense to this, so that's why I'm reading it. It says, although it was not discussed at the meeting, Corona, an adjunct instructor at the Antelope Valley College, would have had a conflict with her previous option of a 4 p.m. closed session followed by a 5 p.m. open session on Wednesday. She is scheduled to teach an intercultural and women's theater class in the spring semester that meets from 3:15 p.m. to 5:20 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. And I was offended by that because here's my colleague, and she probably won't say it, but I'm going to say it. Here's my colleague. I think she's the first member of her family to have a degree. Not only just a degree, she has a master's degree. She's a college professor. She works hard, and that's how she earns her living. She stepped up for our community and ran for an office. To even diminish that and to disrespect that, in my opinion, is appalling. So if we would have followed our rules, we probably would have not got to this disrespectful article on Miss Corona. I'm not done yet, but I'll.
You keep looking at
Oh,
me as if
I'm just
I'm the
looking
one.
this way. Nope, it's not you. You didn't do this. But we'll get to that article about you two in a second. But I just have to say that. I'm going to stand up for my colleague. And I think she's one of the, and I always said this, best candidate up here out of us three. Miguel and I are just a couple knuckleheads, I believe. But she is the best candidate. And for them to attack Miss Corona in that way, because she has a job, that's very offensive to me. And I don't like it. And I will speak out on that. So back to, we should have had this fixed initially. And I do apologize for all of us that we didn't get that done. But I'm reading these policies and we're going to get to another item where we're really going to know these policies. So I had to say that. The other thing, and in the newspaper, it states, the new schedule conflicts with WIN's service on the 50th District Agricultural Association Board of Directors, she said. She was appointed by the governor to serve on the board. And your statement in the paper is, I will not be able to make my meeting now at the Antelope Valley Fair, but this is my elected position and somehow I intend to honor that, WIN said. And I know you just got out of the hospital and you were very ill. And then you said, on the vote, I'm going to vote no. I hate to resign from the Antelope Valley Fair. Your wife, speaking about my wife, Angelina Hughes, which is the president of the fair board, has been asking me to come at the 5 o'clock meetings. I will not be able to do that, but I feel mid-year was not the perfect time to change it. Now, I went back and I talked to my wife and I said, well, that's terrible. I hope she doesn't have to resign. But my wife, and I know it was just a mistake on your part. You were ill. The meetings is actually, your meetings are the third Thursday, the fourth Thursday, not the third Thursday. So I think you misspoke. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to clear that up because I had some people calling me and I'm just like, no, you can't hold her accountable for what she said. She was very ill. And so I just want to give you an opportunity to clear that up, that you don't have to resign from the AV Fair Board of Directors, the 50th
If
Agriculture District.
our board meetings are on, and they are on Thursday,
Third Thursday.
but here we are.
Uh,
And this is not the third Thursday.
I understand,
And
but
so
the
I
fourth
keep-
first
I
Thursdays.
keep, in the past, I've always kept Wednesdays open because it's not always been the same Wednesday. It's not always been, on the past, it was two meetings a month and now we're down to one, but then we haven't always just had them on that one Wednesday of the month.
So it wasn't a mistake. You have to resign
keep-
from the 50th
keep-
Agricultural District?
I keep
Or you were
that
just
day
mistaken?
open, hoping that, I'll be available for all of our
Well,
meetings.
I think the
so-
schedule is pretty straight. We're doing the third Thursdays unless it's in June that are the
Here we
special
are.
meetings for certain or financial stuff, correct?
Correct.
So-
Yeah,
We're
there's three.
here for a meeting on a Thursday and it's the second.
Okay, is it the fourth, sir? Maybe you meant to say what you said, then I was going to give you the benefit of doubt. So maybe you did what some people said and kind of didn't quite give the correct information. It is the fourth Thursday that you meet for
It
the
is.
50th. Oh, okay, so it is the fourth Thursday. I'll keep that in mind if I call a special meeting. All right, well, I'll move on. Give you an opportunity to correct that mistake. All right, so moving on.
Wait, is this discussion?
Absolutely,
Oh, okay.
anybody. That's Miss
Um,
Corona.
Well, again, I got the booklet too, because Mr. Nehan was kind enough to bring me a copy, and so I read it. And I also noted, because I do work, I'm grateful to have work. And to me, it felt like an obvious conversation to talk about a schedule. So when it was just delivered, here's Wednesday, that means I have to give up my job. The way college classes are scheduled, it's not your 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. life like a K-12. So as I think I mentioned too, I was appreciative that we were open to those of us that work, Miguel and Carla.
Because we are all retired except for you two.
Right. So, I still have to make a living. And so I'm hoping that we can, if this is about discussing the meetings, if that schedule is going to be now up for grabs, then we do need to have the conversation because I work and it will conflict. So Julie Drake, is that Julie over there? I think, yes, is correct that I work. However, I shouldn't be called out because I have a job. And so I said a little bit, I didn't want to say too much because I take pride in my work. And as an elected official, we have to all mutually agree on a time that works for the majority here. So I'm hoping we can keep our Thursdays. And I know this is a special meeting, so this isn't even our regular cycle. However, we have a lot of work to do. So we are going to be, I think, meeting more than once a month. We have a lot of work to do. So that's just what I have to say.
Ms. McGray, do you have any comment on or discussion on this?
Well, a little bit. And I understand looking at it looking backward, I see it because you're new and you didn't know. And we could have had a discussion that evening on it. I don't know that
But you
when
know
it was
what's kind of
handed to us,
crazy, Ms.
that it
McGrady,
was, okay,
is you've
we're-
been here a long time. You've been here a long time. These are your policies. You've known these for 20 some years, but you didn't say anything. And I don't fault you for that. I just think that
no,
the
when-
problem is we haven't really delved into these, and we're going to get into these policies where we're all spot on knowing the policies and procedures. And I'm going to get to that next agenda item, but you guys been here a long time.
you asked me a question. Could I finish?
Absolutely.
You did start that agenda item saying, we want to postpone this to our next meeting. And we did. We didn't have any discussion. If we'd had discussion, I would have said, does this work for everybody? Would you like that? I mean, I would have, but we didn't, so you immediately started with, we're postponing it, or I'm moving that we postpone it,
Table.
and we did. So we did.
Yep.
And so, we could have discussed it that evening.
Yep.
But we didn't.
And I'm amenable to let you know, we have a schedule set. It's important to set, but if there's some conflict, Miss Nguyen, for some reason, a fair board meeting happens on the third Thursday, which it probably won't, but if it does, please contact me in advance. And I think we have the ability to alter our meetings. Is that true, Mr.? Well, so I just want to be amenable. And Mr. or Mrs. Corona, if for some reason you're teaching a class, heaven bid that you're actually out there working, making money for your family, and you can't make it, please let me know. I just want to be open and transparent here and say, we need to work together to make sure we are all here, because I want everybody's here and not missing. So any other discussion on that? This one? All right, done. Great. Now we'll move on to N, discussion, review of board bylaws. The Board of Trustees will discuss reviewing board bylaws. One of the things I want to do, and I believe it's very germane, is I've asked Mr. Nehan to provide the bylaws of the 9000 series of how we operate as a board. For your review, I would ask each board of director to review those bylaws, get familiar again with those bylaws. I would ask you to look at them with a critical eye. I know we have some policies in there that we can't even legally enforce. So if we can't legally enforce policy, we should not have it. Would that be correct, Mr.? Yeah, okay. So I would like each one of you, especially with your guys' tenure and knowledge, to look at them and a new fresh eyes with Miguel and Mr. Sanchez, Ms. Corona, and myself. I would like you guys to review them, because I'm going to move forward real quick to start evaluating those bylaws and changing them if we need, and having those discussions and doing it appropriately for the public so they have their input. And I would just ask for you guys to do that, because I don't think you've done that recently, or you have. Okay, Ms. Nguyen, have you guys
Not recently.
really jumped in and looked at the rules that we operate on in your few?
Usually we get direction from California School Board Association, and those come. Actually, I believe it was a few years ago that we had massive changes from California School Board Association.
I'd like to
Ms.
suggest
McGrady.
we do that with an attorney.
Oh,
that we have our
absolutely.
attorney with us that can keep us on track, because we can say, you know what, I don't want to do that, but he can say, no, that's. Yeah, that's
No, what's
you
great
to
is
do
we
that.
have
So,
board counsel now, and we have general counsel, and they're from reputable firms, and I'm pretty excited. I would just like you, our board here, to get your eyes on it. First, mark it up. Let's have some discussions. Maybe I'll call a workshop, a
Work
board
study.
meeting, and we'll sit down and we'll hash it out, get our all our main players in here, because there's maybe financial stuff, maybe HR stuff, maybe, and my goal is to get on the same page, understand what we are governed under, and set our rules, and then we'll probably never have this situation again with this outstanding board. Is anybody disagree with me or agree with me, or okay doing this, Ms. Nguyen? Are you okay with this, going through it?
I do want to make sure that we confer with our general counsel and CSBA. They are the premier organization for school board members. So.
Absolutely. And I know it's a big task. I understand that. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work, but we got our attorney set. We have outstanding attorneys. We got hundreds of attorneys now to represent us. That's great. We got our general counsel, we got a board counsel, we have the ability to discuss the attorneys. Now let's move in, let's get our policy straight, and then we move on to the next item that we need to tackle.
Can I just mention, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Ms. Nguyen.
I'd like to mention the fact, and then I forgot to do so earlier, that we do have, because we belong to California School Board Association, they have a service, a legal service. It's a new program. And when you first join, you get the first 3 hours of legal advice free. And then beyond that, legal advice is at a much reduced rate, much less than any of the numbers I saw in our presentations. So wanted to make sure that people understand that we have that service available as well.
Yeah, can I ask a question? Is that something that we would have to get in make a motion to utilize that service, or do you think we can just?
It's my understanding we already belong to that.
We belong to CSBA and it comes with a suite of other services. I don't believe that we have signed up, but it would come for board consideration.
Yeah, so we'd have to
Okay.
put that on an agenda item.
Correct.
Ms. Nguyen, I'll put that on the agenda.
Okay.
One of the agendas. I think that's a good, any way we can save some money.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be, it potentially could be costly to do this, but I think it's so important. So we don't have the issues that we've had in our little short time as this outstanding board. I just want to make sure everybody gets on the same page. We know how to operate. I'm a rules and regulation type of guy. You read it, you don't have to like it, you just follow it.
I'm sorry. Ms.
Oh, no,
Brown.
no, it's
I
fine.
interrupted
I just
you.
had a question, or maybe we can discuss, what is our hope and timeline for review? Are we hoping to get through all the bylaws in the next month, and you're gonna help us take chunks, do 10 of them at a time? So there'll be some sort of organization and strategy of how to get through these in a timely manner.
Yes, I've
Okay.
had some discussions with our outstanding superintendent.
Okay.
We're on the same page on this. I think we can get through it pretty relatively quickly. I think some of them are just going to be all that sounds good to me. Now I understand it. It's there. We don't have to do anything with it, but there may be something like I have a 9124 or attorneys. I'd like to see some changes. That's pretty simple. I believe once we decide, we put it on a first read, correct, Mr. Nehan? And then we put it out for a public comment because they have the ability to comment on it. And then we'll do a second read and potentially take action at that time, if my understanding is correct, Mr. Nehan. Yeah. So not every policy needs to be changed. We may say, okay, policy 9253, whatever it is. We read it, sounds good. Let's just go ahead and amend it and say, yep, we're approving it today and move on. There's really no discussion on it.
Okay, and is this also the opportunity to consider new bylaws? For example, if we wanted to bring a parent on the
Absolutely.
board, or look at our student board member and kind of that process. It's also not just what is, but what could be.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a time to look at it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. We get together, we'll have a consensus and make sure it's legal. Make sure we can enforce it if it's a policy. And if it's not enforceable, we shouldn't have it. So any other questions on that? I think everybody's pretty much in agreement. Ms. Nguyen, Ms. McGrady, you guys good with that? I know it's a little bit of work. I don't want to overwork you guys, but I think it's very important to operate on rules and regulations that we're all understanding and we all know. It's a kind of a good process to get familiar with our policies. So good. All right, great. Awesome. Okay, adjournment. Oh, it is recommended the board adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, outstanding meeting. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.